be sure that Emmanuel Tarfa, I hope you're online now because that's our next presenter. And let me see, you'll be kind enough to just come and help us. Oh, you don't have his, okay. Okay, very well. We'll have his profile on stage. So I hope Emmanuel Tarfa is already with us.
Yes, I'm here.
I know he was. Oh, thank you.
I'm here.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So I guess without further ado, just jump straight to the next session, the BAM imperative and the socio-economic development of Africa. Our speaker this afternoon, we have his profile, right? Please put his profile up on the screen. You know, our next speaker, of course, is a man who is really passionate. You already heard him give an intervention in the course of one of the question and answer segments we have. So he's someone who is passionate and is actually, like Nelson mentioned, he's one of those privileged people who is working in the area of his passion. So, you know, his passion is meeting his the work of his hands at the same time. So I expect that in this segment we will have nothing less than really that fire. You know, the illustration I've given here of the little fire here, the little fire there. So I suspect with this section, with this session, we're having that too. Emmanuel Tarfa, we are ready for you. We don't have your profile, but while you speak, we expect that you would give us some more insight into who you are. Some of us know you, some don't. So we would expect you to help us get to know you better. So,
all right, fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, I hope I'm audible. It's clear. I'm using all sorts of devices, so please bear with me. Confirm you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can hear. We can hear you. We can see you. There's a lot of light. You know, the light of the world is really beaming through you, but it's fine and good. We can hear you.
Okay, let me change my location. Is it better now?
Yeah, this is better now. Yeah, good. We really want to see you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see Jesus first. Thank you. All right. Now, because of time, and I'm aware also that I don't want to keep us waiting because we still have another session. So I will keep this very short, deliberately. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Pastor Nelson and the team. All right. I'd like to thank Pastor Nelson and the team, and also to thank everyone who has been part of this. Barrister Max, I'm enjoying your MC skills. I didn't know you had this in your sense of humor. Thank you. And thank you to all the other distinguished guests. I also want to thank Pastor Ayuba, and I can't really see the others on the stage, but thank you all. Sincere opportunity and privilege to be here. So unfortunately, I don't want to use slides. I feel slides can be a distraction sometimes. But I mean, for this case, I'd just like to speak to you from my heart. So the subject has been that of a very interesting perspective, and I'd like to share some things that have been burning in my heart, and also to tie it to my career and what I do. So let me tell you a bit about myself. I'm a management consultant. I've done it for the last 16 years. By March next year, I'll be 17 years in the business. So one of the things that I'm privileged to enjoy, having advised quite a lot. I mean, if you've heard me before, you hear me say the same things about how many people I've advised. It's not to impress you, to brag. It's to tell you on what authority I say the things I said. You know, when Jesus was talking, they asked him, on what authority do you, like, you're not a professor, you're not a Pharisee, like, how on earth do you come and talk like this? And he said, I mean, and of course he demonstrated. He said, which one is better, to tell this man to get up and walk, or to say your sins are forgiven? So in my own case this afternoon, I'm going to be asking you which one is easier. You know, so, but let me just put it out here and then I'll talk about it. So 160 clients and counting, probably 170 now. And what it means is that just like some of the lawyers here, consultants, like people on stage, you get to interact with a lot of business owners, both Christians and non-Christians. Now, this is not a yardstick, and it's not also I'm not coming here to preach morals and to tell you things like, you know, why are we like this? But I think I've outgrown those things now. What I want to say is, I'll just stick to the reality. And reality sometimes is, this is where things are. But that doesn't make them the appropriate state or the optimal state. They may not make them the will of God. But let me put out this data so that you understand. For most of the businesses that you know, profess Jesus, either as the entrepreneurs or, and my brain can scan through the list, you know, the ones that are most and I pick my words carefully, please, the ones that demonstrate some semblance of, now please, watch me carefully, and give you data here, and I will look forward to publishing it data soon. The ones that do the extras, what are the extras? We pray in the morning, we do, those things that, I open my shop, I call my pastor to anoint the place and all that. They seem to struggle the most. Now, I'm not saying it's all of them, but most of them seem to struggle. Now, of course, there are exceptions. Now, I'm not setting a principle. Please follow me here. I'm not setting a precedent. I'm just explaining. And that tells me a lot. That just like Apostle Iba was talking about, you don't read for exams, you don't pass. So I see that other side. Now, there are other extremes, and please, I want to explain something. Please follow me, because I'm being careful because of the position where I sit and the respect that has been accorded to me. That if I say something, I have to be careful that people do not take it as a rule or a principle. Because somebody can run off his phone now and say, when you are praying in your office, you don't go to succeed. I didn't even say anything. I told you that let's follow the chain of thought. Now, just because they're struggling does not mean they're doing anything wrong. Also, business go through their phases, right? Profit, financial struggles, even for the business to fail, it doesn't write up your Christianity. It doesn't write up your faith in God. It doesn't even mean you're outside the will of God. I mean, if you're in startup world, and this is critical thing too, you see them tell you that failure is a good thing. You fail fast so that you can move forward. Let me balance it for someone. For someone thinks that businesses that are very spiritual or do spiritual exercise and activities fail. I didn't say that. But I'm telling you also that I see those struggles. Now, there are other extremes where they do all the spiritual stuff, and you can see the undertones on things under the table that are going on, things that don't glorify God, and I can go on and on. So, in all of this, what is the point? Before I now move to my second issue, I do not think, right, and I said it during my Q&A, that this platform has just launched a new conversation. In fact, the kind of Christianity we have received, and this is where I begin, its emphasis on intellectualism is not like it is a bit of a struggle. Sometimes we are labeled as you guys are too intellectual. This thing is not an intellectual issue. Okay, it's not an intellectual issue. But how you control traffic in Lagos is also not speaking in tongues. All right? I mean, that's why we're sitting 3-4 hours. And sometimes when I come down from the road on the express and I'm talking to the last one, when I'm explaining that this is like this, or I walk into places where things are not working, and I just ask a few questions and it starts working, I realize that I didn't have to speak in tongues to get those results. And that is where I have my concerns. Please follow me. So let me give you one more example. We met this client, and the client was significantly underpricing. So we did what we call unit economic analysis. What does that simply mean? How much does a gram or a single unit of your product, how much does it cost? You sell bread. What is the cost of bread, per kg or per single loaf or whatever parameter you want to use? Now, it's not bread, but I'm just giving an example. And we were able to derive that. Now, when we finished, her eyes opened and she was like, wow, I didn't know that it could be this simple. And now this is someone, please, I say this all sense of respect and admission, spends hours praying, before the job starts, this stuff. So there is this element that I have been talking, and a lot of the speakers here provided fantastic balance on other aspects. But there is this niche that has been called to my attention over the last few years, which I have grown, I've matured to disseminate the message in love and in humility. Because when I started out, I had to be, the elders had to call me to the corner and say, guy, it's not like this, not like this. And one of those elders is Nelson. I can put him on the spot. And I'm thankful to God that I was even able to listen. But the point is, in love and humility and with all sense of respect, that intellectual side that we downplay is actually costing us a lot more. And that is what I want to say before I now tie it up. How is it costing us? I just give an example of this dear sister. We were now very good friends and working together. So by the time we finish it, but this simple thing we did, there's no rocket science. Now, is there a place where the Holy Spirit could have led her to meet me? Yes. So I'm an answered prayer. And truly, they were praying for me to come and join them. But the argument is that it was mathematical. So let me just go somewhere quickly. KPMG and the big boys. There was a time that KPMG said, if you want to hire, you have to be below a certain age. And not just below a certain age, you also have to have sat in WIEC for maths and English and made it in one sitting. Listen, they want you to make maths and English in one sitting. They check for those things. Ladies and gentlemen, just you said, I've also started to get to that point where I'm like, this issue is fundamental, it's foundational. I was privileged to moderate or to facilitate a session for the United States Africa AI Summit. Okay, US wanted to make sure that Africa had its AI strategy aligned with certain values, was transparent, and so on. Before everybody goes, gaga, as it were. Like US said, Africa, as part of my foreign policy, let's see what your AI strategy. So they called this meeting. I was part of the ambassador was there, and some other very important. It was online. I shared some photos, and when I was talking, I said two things. I said that we're the last generation that will determine how AI would run. In other words, even if you called a bunch of analysts in a room and you told them to write the legal framework for AI, they're going to use AI to write it. They're not going to do it independently. And one of the things that all the founders of AI or the proponents or engineers or inventors keep hammering is that if your foundational whatever is intact, everything else will be fine. Your math and your English. Now, when I talk like this, right, and I really get worried, and I look forward to further feedback in private, it makes me look as if I'm insulting the intelligence of believers. But I'm not. And how do I know I'm not? Because education has fallen over the years. And please, this is supposed to be for somebody, so please follow me. And also for leaders to help leaders appreciate how it works. Education has fallen over. And because of the emphasis on what some of us grew up with, just go to school and do very well. Not in this era where your parents are pumping. I mean, not parents, but lesson teacher. Buy exams for you. Like, I mean, I know of those things, but it is a case of like there is a place where humans have to be intelligent and excel first. Let's fill up that cup. Now, what I'm arguing is that room is still empty. I'm not even crossed that threshold before we now start talking about, okay, in addition to that. So what do I mean? I run a small pharmacy. While I'm running that pharmacy, how many believers, okay, and this is no insult again, no sense of humility, where it to be like snap of my finger, 1, 2, 3, where I come. This is how I run this pharmacy run. I want to be able to go to sleep and you demonstrate a measure, listen to me, the spirit of Joseph, a measure of ownership, where you are 2, 3 steps ahead of me. That is dangerously rare. Okay, I don't think you got me. The person that's organizing this conference is Nelson. Okay, well, then he's organizing this. I mean, like he's the promoter and all of that. Did anybody ask him to do this? No. Is he trying to? Now, think about his level of leadership and responsibility in another man's business. That ability is what will deliver kingdoms to us. So, what do you mean, Emmanuel? Because of the confidentiality of my work, I can't go. I mean, I can tell you, I've sat in rooms before where I know this one is not story, that a memo was going to a particular government, not 1, not 2, not 3. And because of the way we were in the room, I was like, okay, you know what? Let's do like this, like this, like this. Because of this. So we push an agenda. There's a very wealthy man that started the foundation. All of you know the person. And I was in that room where they were trying to decide on something. And I could see myself pushing agendas. Why was I able to do that? Of course, the grace of God. I mean, I'm not going to take that away. But honestly, after the grace of God has done its work, there's still a portion that I have to deliver, which is I understand my audience. Now, I'm not speaking privately because I'm perfect, but I'm also trying to encourage you that this excellent story is not another idea like prosperity or what's the other one we talk about? It's not another nice doctrine that somebody's trying to cook up. It is an imperative that has made us lose ground. There are times I've received calls, Aso Rock, we need an analyst. 1, 2, 3. And I couldn't send anyone. Now, if I send someone to Aso Rock, I mean, what does that mean? You don't know what kind of Like, where do I mean? I know what it means because I've been there before. And that is what, but how am I able to, what am I bringing to the audience? I'm saying, I want, before you even cross the line, in this small pharmacy, there's no spiritual attack here. It's a pharmacy, for goodness sake. You just need to make sure the books balance and you do your job and you demonstrate competencies that are required for the job. I mean, you're born again, speaking tongues. You've sorted that. The devil is not attacking you. Can you do the job? Can the pharmacy grow under your leadership? And I want that gospel, or no, not gospel as the salvation of our souls, but that message, that good news to begin to resonate. Because as I always say when I talk like this, people, I mean, it's not threatening people. The middle market, the middle managers are almost done and out. They've left the country. There's a huge gap in the middle market and for the middle managers. So these the newer, younger people who are sitting around doing nothing, who are not pushing themselves, paying that price, we need to be able to deal. Two things before I round up. My mentor was talking to me yesterday. My mentor is over 60. My mentor is very wealthy. I don't like to disclose because this is recorded and it may be played in public circles, but he's extremely wealthy. I mean, those kinds of people that will tell you that I'm worried, I'm confused. What's your confusion? Should I build my second home? And like after plenty houses, should I build my, because I want to live, I live in a life camp. I want to live life camp. I want to move to, in between my Tama or Asoko. What do you think, Manu? I mean, what do you think? My Tama or Asoko? I'm kind of confused. Those are the kinds of jokes we crack. And this guy says, and the guy is talking and he says, he was talking to me, he told me his story, in his career. He couldn't do all the things they did. He couldn't go to club, womanize, and all the other things that his contemporaries were doing. But he said something. He said, I had to be extremely competent. And I resonated with Nelson so that they did not have any reason to let me go. So they had to negotiate with me. Even public sector. He told me the strategy for public sector. He was trying to do something in public sector. And all the public sector accounts were not given to him because they knew he wouldn't do bribe. But there was a particular time under just sheer intensity, because he taught me about the power of intensity. This is someone that walks with God. I mean, family devotion. His children are abroad, they're all old, so not old, but like their 30s, and they do family devotion every week. You with your own husband. So it's not like spirituality is not the issue. New Year now, they are doing retreat, 3 days retreat. I mean, how godly and home bringing, all of that. And he says, the intensity you need and empathy you need to demonstrate towards your client was what made me win. The level of ownership I demonstrated, and that those competencies they couldn't deny me. We'll go for board meeting. They will just assume nobody has read the papers. I will raise my hand and say, no, I read all the board papers. I minuted on all the board papers religiously. And I did cross-referencing and additional research on all those board papers. I'll see this 67-year-old man with a book. He's reading a book called The Front. It's a McKinsey book. And he told me I read that book. I'm reading it a second time. Then you see one other book, and he says, and he opened the book for me. And I saw, I see there's a Bible underlined line by line. 67, 60. And I'm not thinking the average young believer who goes to a church where he's told this intellectual thing is not it. Just pray and shake your head. And no, please, no criticisms. If you know, I listen to those guys. That's how I charge up myself in the morning. I press play one of those, I don't want to mention their names on the call. Just press play them in the background to first wake me up. That's how I start my own. So I rely on those spiritual, fantastic things on YouTube. But there is other side that we're not saying, that boys have to go back to the fundamentals, open their books, take notes, go to libraries, lock up themselves, and be switched on so that basic things are first covered. See, when I'm done with this basic message, I will now, maybe in another 5-10 years, I will move to another level. It's not as if I don't have more to offer the body. But as this is now, what I'm seeing, where we sit down in the room and all the accountants are looking at me like this. And I'm like, guys, look at these rates now. We can get better rates. We can cut costs here and there. And everybody's looking at me. I said, this is new general mathematics. I'm not unnecessarily intelligent. This is simple math we taught us in school. Or I'm sitting on human resource managers and I'm telling them that it takes five people to farm one plot of land in 2 days. How long will it take 10 people? Or we are expanding our restaurant. We have 10 waiters. We are doubling space. How many waiters should we hire so that we're optimal and we're not overpaying? There has to be a formula. It's mathematical. But those are the realities. And that is where the space, and why it's frustrating is because when your fundamentals are okay, that keeps your leg through the door. You now get the opportunity to join those places of authority. And you now, just like Naaman's slave girl, begin to whisper into the ears of Naaman to say, Oga, there's a prophet in here. You now begin to, under the authority and leadership of the people who are sitting on top. So if you are in plug with Reverend Ayuba, Barrister Max, Pastor Tokwe, they are now the ones whispering, I think that there's this policy on this. Let's do it like this. You are in the place. So you sit down with your senator, I think, what do you think? No, I'll prevail. That's, for me, that's the secret service work. But we don't have enough competent people to sign up to secret service. I want to read one scripture and then I'll close. It's from the book of Daniel. And I would like to just quickly give that, and then I'm out of your face in about 3-4 minutes. Thank you very much again for the opportunity. So the book of Daniel chapter, I think I would share my, if you can project it where it is. So Daniel, Daniel chapter 1 verse 3. Daniel chapter 1 verse 3. I've read it before and it's one of my popular scriptures. Daniel 1 chapter 1 verse 3, 3, 4, 5. I'll read 3, 4, sorry, I'll read it. Number 1, so let me just see that I can share my screen so that people can. No, let me not share my screen. I don't want any text message to come. I probably say a lot now. So yeah, what's going on? Anyway, it will be a plus or minus a lot. That's just a right hand. So then the king instructed Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, to bring some of the children of Israel and some of the king's descendants and some of the nobles. Okay? So from royalty. There's a reason why, those were the educated, those were the trained, those were the people that were, they had the behavior of kings. And it says now let's start. It says young men, let me add, and women, in whom there was no blemish. All right, unfortunately, that was discriminatory, but it's fine. But good looking, gifted, listen to me, gifted in all wisdom, possessing knowledge and quick to understand. That's comprehension. The one we did in secondary school did not like. Who had ability to serve in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the language and the literature of the Chaldeans. So, it's very clear. There's a presentation. There is, you see these tenets. They are still what employers are looking for. That's like, remember we talk about KPMG. So it's something we don't talk about publicly in consulting. They say, is the guy client facing? So you hear things like, she's very intelligent, but she's not client facing. Put her in back office. I'm sorry, these are like private jokes, or comments. But we're not going to say that. I'm not saying I do that, but once in a while I mention, say, oh no, the guy is very, and it's client facing. So it has nothing to do with whether you're tall, short, disabled, whatever. There is the word is not, I don't want to use the word packaging because that has also been abused, but there is a presentation and a preparation that needs to be restored. My parents are renovating their house, and I know the headache we went through. And this particular contractor, who we were all this, okay, we're going to do the work. At some point, the guy was looking at me, I was talking, I was liking the guy, I was trusting him. And they just looked at me and said, listen to me. I used to be a Muslim before I became a Christian. I am a deeper life. Honestly, the minute he said it, I just told my people, transfer this money. Like you say, Emmanuel, I usually deceive, I said, when he gave me that confidence, not because of where he goes to church, and I'm sorry I'm mentioning names, or because he said he was a Muslim Christian. But I do have to respect that change of faith. But beyond that, I was now wishing, when will we get to a point where we say, where is this guy from? Okay, from there, I know it's fine. The world, that place, that market is very empty. It's empty. Like, let me repeat myself. I'm saying that there's when they say there's huge market opportunity, or untapped market, there's a huge market for a particular set of people that can be labeled consistent and required. And it's so bad. And this is the point, because I'm talking about the data and what authorities. It's so bad that if we had a lot more, taking over will not even be a problem. Because and I know it's not a prayer issue. If it was a prayer issue, and they say, what do you mean? Listen, it can be a prayer issue. Yes. And I say, what do you mean it's not a prayer issue? It's not a lack of spiritual people. God has people, don't get me wrong. But there is a critical mass that we have to get to where everybody has taken position. So when the trumpet is blown, people respond in those places. And I am, a voice crying in the wilderness saying that I need people to take their position so that when the trumpet is sounded at the next year's, people will begin to follow based on the rooms are empty. And the rooms are empty, not because people are not, it's just that people need to sit down and remember and not discard the role of studious learning, foundational understanding of the of the basics. So that when you now want to build a skyscraper, so when you say rockets, chemical composition, all of that, it is a function of that. I understand the fundamental. So I'm telling Christians now, and I've been saying it jokingly, go back and sort out your A levels, your O levels. Yes. If you do that, even Marx that is talking, the joke is cracking. I know the way he's speaking scripture. I'm like, this man understands. So when you understand fundamentals, you can play around with it. You cannot build something out of it. Here's my conclusion, and I used to crack the joke. Mark Zuckerberg in the movie social network that they did in, I think, 2003. Say a lot of true things. The young guy was in the courtroom. If you remember, there was a court scene. They were in the courtroom, and then different people were giving their cases. So he looked at the twins, those twins that said he stole the idea from them, the Winklevoss brothers, Winklevoss, VOS. And he says, listen to this, and I close with it. He looked to the left and he said, he wanted to address both of them. So instead of saying Taiwo and Kendi, as per two twins, he just said, listen to this. He said, Winklevi. Now, someone like, what is he saying? Winklevoss, VOUS. Winklevi, VI. I think VI or VY. And me and my friend, I understood it, fall off our chest because we were like, okay. Now, you don't address, it's not like Winklevi, but because I understand English language and I know the plural when it's OVUS, I can convert it to I. So either I or Y, I can't even remember. Immediately said Winklevi. So I'm giving you the plural of the two of them. Taiwan and Kenya together is Winklevi. Now, how do you do that if you don't understand the fundamentals? And that is what understanding fundamentals, especially in an era where AI is coming. We that know the fundamentals are the ones that can detect with critical thinking that this AI is biased, is false, or is wrong, because we understand those fundamentals. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity. And like I said, I'm here to add another feather to the flower we're building, to this construct that we're starting, to say that there is still room. And that's where I play. I work with a lot of young people that have trained from scratch to go into global significance. And all these times, these young believers that we've given hope, we've given faith, we've given a lot to, we have seen this miracle of prosperity, or this miracle of growth and development for them when they came with their faith, and to their faith, we added the fundamentals. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.